Hey everyone, and welcome back to I Spy, the series where I analyze the UI of video games. I can't believe Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door is on Switch, let alone a high quality remake. When it got announced during last year's Direct, I lost my mind.
I think I know what this is.
Oh no!
No way! Oh my god!
Yeah.
I can't believe this is happening. This is better than I expected. Holy Thousand Year Door is coming to Switch. Oh my god.
The Thousand Year Door remake recaptures the original charm of the older Paper Mario games, which we haven't seen in 20 years. And for half the price the GameCube copies were going for at their peak a few years ago, this is a must-play for Mario and RPG fans alike. As we continue through one of the most difficult years of the game industry yet, we need cheerful, energetic experiences more than ever. Regardless if you're playing it for the first time or double dipping on the Switch copy, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door finally lives up to the series' namesake through its UI design. So in this video, I'll be discussing the changes the remake made to the UI, for better and for worse. First, let's get the major quality of life features they added out of the way. The biggest one being the partner ring. The partner ring allows you to quickly swap between partners in the overworld. Press the L button and select the partner you want to bring out with the left stick. This is one of the best changes added to the remake, and a much needed one. As most party members are required for solving puzzles and traversing through the overworld, being able to switch them on the fly is appreciated. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't super tedious in the original, but as you encounter many party members during your journey, it's nice not having to open the entire pause menu every time you want to switch between them. During battles, you can now use the plus button to access Tattle Check. For those who don't know, Goombella's ability, Tattle, allows you to view the stats and description of every enemy in the game. If you have tattled an enemy once, you can view their tattle description at any time, even if you don't have Goombella in your party. This is great, and encourages me to tattle every enemy I can find, as like in the original, there is a list of all the enemies and bosses you've tattled throughout the game. When titling an enemy, their stats are displayed in a spiral notebook page. Although this still fits within the crafted aesthetic, I miss how the GameCube original was diegetic, as it looked like it was a direct page taken from Goombella's book she holds. Are you stuck trying to figure out where to go? The new Partner Hint option allows Goombella to give you a general idea of your next step in a chapter. It's sometimes vague, but a nice reminder in case you get lost in the overworld, especially during the Great Boggly Tree in Chapter 2. Again, Goombella doesn't need to be in your party while using this feature, making her incredibly useful. There's also now an unlockable gallery for music and concept art. Hell yeah! After graduating in game design, I've been increasingly excited for games which include these features. Music and concept art are unlocked by collecting all of the shine sprites and star pieces respectively within that chapter's areas. Thankfully, you no longer need to use a guide to keep track of the collectibles you're missing. The total amount of shine sprites and star pieces you've collected within each area are now easily accessible by opening the map. This encourages players to find all the collectibles in the game, especially since some of the concept art is fascinating to see, such as how they created an actual model of the Great Boggly Tree to use as reference for Chapter 2. Most of the concept art you see is from the remake, but there's some from the original, dated all the way back to 2002. I'm not really sure how much of this we've seen before, but regardless, I'm really glad it's easily accessible within the game. Next, let's discuss the art direction shift for the remake's UI. Nintendo and Intelligent Systems really honed in on the Papercraft aesthetic this time around, where the Thousand Year Door looks closer to Origami King compared to the original's flatter design. The cardboard cutouts of buildings are the greatest examples of this, but are also found in the texturing added to UI assets. Construction paper texturing can be found everywhere, including the action command prompts, saving boxes, and menus. Circle indicators, such as Madame Flurry's bottom slam attack and Goombella's tattle, even have cute stripe patterns, instead of flat white circles like in the original. This handcrafted aesthetic makes the Thousand Year Door's world faithful to the name Paper Mario, while not being a gimmick like in Sticker Star. After 3 entries of trying this approach, I'd argue it's finally been perfected. The use of texturing is some of how UI assets are designed for Trilenium, such as sticky notes being used for the Days Until countdown. The color of the pause menu backgrounds are more saturated, while still maintaining the item pattern of the original. Your current playtime is sadly no longer a part of the Mario menu, only being visible on your save file in the title screen. Names of the collectibles you've gathered, including star points, star pieces, and shine sprites, are no longer abbreviated, as this panel takes up more space on screen. Panels of the main menu appear to be stable to the backgrounds, unifying the materialistic environments with the UI design. Check moves is also changed to check action command, with pictures of the specific action needed to perform that move for your party members. It's a nice reminder to players who forget what all these party members do, especially later in the game when you can upgrade them and unlock new moves. Button indicators, such as for action commands, are now color-coded in the new 3DS and Famicom color scheme. I don't understand this design choice, as to my knowledge, it's nowhere to be found in other First Sprite titles. Switch games typically depict button UI using black, white, or gray. Using yellow for the B button for canceling and closing options doesn't really make any sense. If we associate UI colors with those of a stoplight, we view red for stop and green for go. However, red is attached to the A button for selecting options and action commands. Using red for the attack button indicators makes sense, as red is typically viewed as an aggressive color. Think of Target versus Walmart if you live in the United States, for example. Button indicators have been added to certain attacks, such as the special attack Earth Tremor, which only had blue circles in the original game. The original game's button indicators were designed to match the GameCube controller, with a green A button, red B button, and gray X and Y buttons. However, when remaking the game for Switch, Nintendo and Intelligent Systems had a new problem. The original GameCube color palette wouldn't work, as face buttons are the same size on Switch controllers compared to the banana-shaped X and Y buttons. Using the standard black and white would have made it difficult to distinguish different actions, such as action commands or canceling. Especially for a franchise like Mario that's targeted for all audiences, Nintendo wanted to help players associate different colors to the different actions of the face buttons. So they went back a generation and brought back this color scheme, as it already included a red A button. No, I don't think this is a sign that this is part of the Switch 2. I think this is completely unrelated, to be honest. Another major change was made for dialog boxes. They're nearly identical to the ones used in Origami King, except their drop shadows are a subtle light gray color, making it less distracting on screen. They also feature a subtle textured paper background, instead of the flat white color of the original. The rotating star button for continuing dialogue uses a darker yellow outline, so now the colors are blended together and the button is hard to see from far away. They should have reused the one from Origami King and called it a day. All text boxes are also smaller in the remake than the original. For scrollable text boxes, there's a slider with the right analog stick showing how far you are in that scroll area, instead of just an icon of the C-stick with a down arrow. It's a great visual indicator that's commonplace in a lot of games with text boxes, so I'm surprised that this wasn't included in the original in some way. Sadly, the user experience, or UX, of the dialogue is more cumbersome in the remake. For those who don't know, UX describes the flow of how players navigate through interfaces. You can no longer press L to reread previous lines of dialogue a character said, not even a dialogue log to make up for this. Why did they take this away? Even worse, you can't even speed up the dialogue by pressing a button, except if you talk to an NPC again. So during cutscenes, you have no choice but to read dialogue at its normal speed. The remake's dialogue speed is slower than the original too, at least it appears that way. You can't adjust the speed either, like in most RPGs. The settings menu is literally just for rumble, brightness, and return to title, continuing Nintendo's trend of lazy settings options in their games such as in Tears of the Kingdom. Hopefully this gets patched in an update. The Battle UI displays all elements in one row, instead of dividing them into two, like the original. Each of the main shapes in the UI have been simplified, from the flag banners to flatter, rounded rectangle shapes. Thankfully, as these elements are more saturated, they still match the playful tone of the rest of the game's UI. During a character's turn, the other character's portrait shrinks, helping indicate which of your two characters are acting. When an audience member is about to throw an object towards you, the caution tape banner is completely gone, with there just being the blue X button prompt. This is a disappointing change, as it now takes me longer for me to recognize there's a hostile audience member I need to watch out for. When you get star points, it's no longer you got X number star points, but just got star points with a meter showing the number you got in a little speech bubble. Both of these elements are shown on screen at the same time, but unlike the original, it can't be skipped. Like the dialogue boxes I mentioned earlier, this UX slows the pace of the game down over time. All unique attacks for Mario and his party members now have their flower points cost in a yellow rectangle with white font, both during battles and when viewed in the pause menu. Now, these two pieces of info are visually distinguished from each other, instead of both being the same black font in white background. Text displayed on screen when performing attacks successfully, such as nice, great, wonderful, excellent, also have more saturated colors, featuring a larger drop shadow. They're also now in the modern Mario font that we all know and love. Before wrapping up this video, I want to talk about a couple of other UI changes that I thought would be worth mentioning. The title screen changes every time you complete a chapter, adding the new party member you unlocked, which is a nice touch. I haven't seen Nintendo do this other than for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and wish they did it more often. Weird detail though, the copyright date is just 2004. Normally, updated versions or remakes of games would have the year of the game's original release and that of the re-release, so it would be 2004 to 2024. There's probably some big legal explanation for this that's beyond the scope of my knowledge. And the title screen features the game's new logo, the Paper Mario, being held up by a sticks and angled view really nails the handcraftedness of the game's art style. Its design is also based on that of the original Japanese logo, where there, the game is called Paper Mario RPG. The diorama approach to the logo design screams to fans that this is Paper Mario. However, I'm not a fan of the red text being used for the 1,000-year door. Remember how epic the original logo looked, with the subtitle being this ancient-looking brown and beige text? As refreshing as this logo is in the era of minimalist design, it makes the 1,000-year door seem less serious to the story than it actually is. For most sequences where you need to use a keyboard, such as naming your hatched Yoshi egg in Chapter 3, they sadly use the default Switch keyboard, instead of the colorful in-game one of the original. It's a pet peeve of mine that more and more games on Switch are taking these in-game keyboards away. I understand it's probably easier to integrate the built-in features of the Switch, but putting in the extra effort to make in-game keyboards that are quirky and matches the game's art style, like the Animal Crossing series, goes a long way in adding charm to the UI design. The maximum amount of coins it can hold was increased from 999 to 9,999. This is another nice change, especially if you want to save up and buy a bunch of expensive items or badges, such as gold bars or the ultra shrooms within the Pit of Trials. And finally, shops now have visual indicators for items in your inventory, point value, and storage, instead of needing to memorize all those numbers or check your main menu. You can also see how many of a certain item you have while buying it, instead of having to go back and check your inventory manually. Albeit subtle, this quality of life addition keeps the flow of gameplay without having to backtrack through multiple menus. This is a great example of modern UX design that I wish more people talked about. Overall, the UI design in the 1,000-Year Door remake streamlines the gameplay experience, making it more enjoyable than ever before. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are dozens of quality of life changes made to the gameplay and writing, which cements this as one of the best RPGs of all time. Comment down below what you think of this game, and be sure to like this video and subscribe if you want to hear me talk about more UI design games. Anyways, thank you for watching, but I gotta get back to playing this game because it's just so good!
Whatever it is I gotta do, riding up.